Waiting out our full timer, then it's time for the mighty Moltres. Virizion takes 5 double kicks. To reach the Stone Edge, that would be double super effective, so we throw 7 wing attacks, catch the Stone Edge on the low health Zapdos. This is now going to allow us to completely wing attack, farm down, back out. Comes Aurorus, a Pokemon supposed to be all 3 flyers, but they can eat an overheat to the face. So, welcome back to the home of Shadow Pokemon. It's been a while since we've had some absolute triple Shadow insanity. I have been receiving a lot more meta battle submissions, so I thought it's time for me to do it myself. So here we have it, we're running all 3 Gen 1 Legendary Birds in their Shadow forms. Would I recommend this team? Absolutely not. However, do we pull off some incredible wins? Absolutely. We're going to keep the intro short and sweet, and we're going to just jump straight into the battles. And in game 1, we lead Shadow Zapdos into Swampert. All 3 of our Pokemon pretty bad against Swampert because Swampert is super spammy. However, Zapdos does keep pace with Swampert. It takes us both 5, then 4 quick moves to each charge move. So I farm up to the back-to-back. Swampert is resisting the Thunder Shocks. However, Zapdos hits like an absolute truck. The first Drill Peck gets them below 50% HP. I fire off on the CMP tie Swampert as they've hit the move. Likely to shield, and Zapdos has done its job. I pretty much use Zapdos to try and get a shield advantage for us endgame. The opponent pivots out into a Walrus, and this is somewhat problematic. As we're running triple flyers, a Walrein pretty problematic for all 3 Pokemon. We tank the Icicle Sphere, return fire with the Ancient Power. The opponent lets it go, and this now puts them into Sky Attack range. I pivot out into Moltres, and I am going to commit the first Protect Shield here. Icicle Sphere does quite a lot of damage despite us being a fire type. I overfarm, fire off the Sky Attack just before the next Icicle Sphere. If Swampert does return, they are energy dry, so I'm going to throw 5 wing attacks. Again, looking to CMP the opponent. If the opponent shields, we will be able to outpace to the next one. They're only 4 away, and we're 4 away as well. As the opponent has shielded up, they might be weak to Moltres. In the back, I shield up the Hydro Cannon. I'm going to throw 4 wing attacks again on the CMP tie. This opponent's been CMP tied 3 times already. You love to see it. Down goes Swampert. That final Pokemon is Charizard, and stay in school, kids. Learn to count. I knew the opponent was going to throw the Dragon Claw because they can't tank a Sky Attack. Articuno now looking to reach the Ancient Power and on 1 HP and a Dream. Articuno holds strong, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle, see Zapdos into Cresselia. Zapdos definitely doesn't want to tank a Future Sight. Even a Moonblast would do big damage. I look to catch the Moonblast on my Articuno. The opponent banks their energy, pivot out into Typhlosion. Again, Articuno's rock type coverage gonna come in clutch. The opponent shields up the Ancient Power. They overfarm, fire off the Blast Burn. Articuno has done its job. We're going to allow Articuno to go down. They're now 1 Incinerate away from the charge move. So after waiting out my timer, I'm going to throw 2 Thunder Shocks for optimal fast move timing and full send the Thunderbolt. If this goes unshielded, Zapdos is going to return Typhlosion to the Pokeball. Back out comes Cresselia. I am fearful of a Future Sight, and the opponent full sends the Future Sight. Cresselia super bulky, so there's no point in throwing Drill Pecks. We throw the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt now puts this in a range where we will be able to Sky Attack. To take them out, I'm just going to allow Zapdos to go down. They full send the Future Sight again. I come in to Moltres. I'm going to look to CMP tie the Cresselia to the charge move, and again we fire off on CMP. The joys of running these Legendary Birds, they have a super high attack. As the opponent did shield, I am fearful that it might be sending another Future Sight. They full send the Future Sight. This opponent not a fan of baiting. The opponent realizes they're going to get farmed down. It's Gramble in the back. Moltres farms up to 100 energy. Overheat gonna return Gramble to its Pokeball. When Cresselia does return, we've got the Sky Attack locked and loaded, and Moltres pulls off a beautiful sweep. GG's, and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next one. Zapdos into Empoleon. Despite us having the typing advantage, this isn't a particularly good matchup as Waterfall tearing us apart. I throw 7 Thunder Shocks and the Thunderbolt. That is the correct fast move timing. When you're using 2 turn versus 3 turn, you want to throw out 1, 4 or 7. The opponent did shield up the Thunderbolt. I am now going to call that they're probably going to look to 2 shield, so I fire off the Drill Peck If the opponent lets it go, I'm just going to fire off the next drill peck. So I either want to guarantee damage or the final shield. The opponent does shield it up. This drill peck won't knock out, but that next waterfall will knock me out. So I do have to settle for a drill peck. I can now come in to Articuno and use it as a damage sponge. Articuno, the only Pokemon with any sort of bulk. You can see we tank that reasonably well. We now commit to the resisted Ice Shard farm down. The opponent sends out Talonflame. Talonflame unshielded. Ancient Power is going to hit for a lot of super effective damage. I pivot out into Moltres, looking to snipe. The opponent banks a charge move and send out Clefable, and this Clefable is about to get cooked. I farm up to 100 energy, overheat's going to return Clefable to their Pokeball. The battle of the fire, flying types, Moltres reigns supreme. We win. CMP and Sky Attack's going to be all she wrote. Moving on to the next one. We see Shadow Zapdos into another Swampert. I'm going to play this exactly as I played the first matchup. We're going to tank the first Hydro Cannon farm up to the back-to-back, and I'm going to look to try and CMP tie the opponent to the next charge move. The opponent is now reached the energy for a Hydro Cannon. They realise Drill Peck does a lot of damage. Again, this trainer falls for the CMP. My top tip, if you see Shadow Zapdos, don't throw on CMP. Unless you're an absolute Spice Lord running something like Gengar, as very few Pokemon beat us in the charge move priority. We now send in Articuno. The opponent going to throw one more Hydro Cannon. I'm unlikely to be able to farm them down. The opponent does pivot into Escavalier, so I'm going to bank a boatload of energy and send out Moltres. Moltres does resist everything from Escavalier, but you're going to see just how squishy rather. Single resisted Drill Run does huge damage. Even the counters are really chunking, so I'm going to shield up the second one. I'm going to farm up absolutely boatloads of energy, as this energy is going to be universally useful as Moltres hits like a truck. We fire off the Sky Attack. Sky Attack takes care of Escavalier. If Swampert does return again, I'm going to throw on CMP. This is why I always say counting is important. Huge shout out to my friend Callum on Toasters. If you saw his video, I was catching moves left, right and centre. However, today, when we got these attack weighted Pokemon, all I'm looking to do is always maximise energy throw on CMP. The opponent had a Nidoqueen in the back. They didn't shield the Sky Attack. That's fine for me as I've got loads of energy. We can reach the back-to-back Icy Wind and take another dub. Moving on to the next one. We see Zapdos into Cresselia. And like I said in the last battle, I love to catch charges. He's going to throw 7 Thunder Shocks and look to catch the Moonblast on Articuno. Cresselia takes 7 Psycho Cuts to the Moonblast, and this opponent thinks they can masturbate all over us, and we absolutely aren't falling for that nonsense. Grass Knot does pretty much nothing. The opponent comes in to Cobalion. They go for the Sacred Sword. I can only hit them for resistance. I'm just going to lower their attack with the Icy Wind. That actually does respectable damage. The opponent going to fire off the next Sacred Sword. Despite them being debuffed, it nearly takes us out. The opponent now has 1 residual double kick. When using these glass cannons, it's super important to count absolutely everything. I come in to Zapdos, throw 4 Thunder Shocks and the Thunderbolt. They're now 1 double kick away from a potential Stone Edge. The opponent shields it up and pivot back out into Cresselia, and I'm going to YOLO the Thunderbolt. I highly doubt the opponent is going to shield. Thunderbolt lands for decent damage, and again I look to catch the Moonblast on Moltres. We're running rings around this opponent, if I do say so myself. As we've landed the Thunderbolt, we can throw the Sky Attack on CMP. Sky Attack will probably be lethal from this range. The opponent actually survives on 1 HP and a Dream. This is only a Grass Knot. I've got 2 shields, but I'm not shielding shit. Grass Knot does absolutely nothing. We wing attack farm them all the way down. The opponent's final Pokemon is a Alolan Muck. I've just got to get this into Drill Peck range, and Zapdos is going to be primed to sweep. The opponent lets it go. They don't want to get hit with another Sky Attacks. They are going to throw the Dark Pulse, taking care of Moltres. I come in, throw 1 Thunder Shock and the Drill Peck. Drill Peck going to be lethal. The opponent going to put their faith in Cobalion. They come in, they throw 1 double kick. They're at the Stone Edge. I dare the opponent to Stone Edge me. I didn't think so, trainer. GG's, buddy. Despite having 2 shields, I knew the opponent was going to try and masturbate, as they masturbated me in the opening game, and I'm not falling for that nonsense. I can now come into Zapdos, throw 4 Thunder Shocks and the Drill Peck. We're then 1 away from the next Drill Peck, and we can very nicely save a shield for next season. GG's, and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle. We lead Zapdos into Auroras, so I think I'm about to be humbled. Despite giving a load of trash talk, let's see if we pull this one off. This is only a Weather Ball Zapdos, probably going to survive on 1 HP and a Dream. We make the Thunderbolt, Thunderbolt going to hit for big neutral damage. Is the opponent going to shield it up? They do not. I now come into Articuno and we're still in a really rough spot. I am going to respect the Meteor Beam. I hate going down shields, but I've got no choice but to shield up. The opponent full sends the beam. I then overfarm by 1, fire off the Icy Wind. Icy Wind is resisted but should still be lethal from this range. The opponent sends out Virizion. Holy smokes, please tell me this is Home Slice Henry's team. With Double Grass we might have a chance. Icy Wind draws a Protect Shield. I'm just going to put all my faith in Moltres. The opponent gonna YOLO the Stone Edge. Stone Edge takes care of Articuno. We come in to Moltres and it's Trevenant. Holy smokes, can we pull this game off? I attempt to CMP tie the opponent. The opponent doesn't fall for it. They're now over farming. My only win con at this stage is calling the bait. And the opponent baits me. At this stage now, I can easily shield up the next Seed Bomb. I've just got to over farm by 1 quick move to allow me to outpace the Virizion. Sky Attack, despite hitting no bubbles, going to take care of Trevenant. Feed me that Virizion. We're super low. They're not double kicking down and Moltres pulls off an absolutely incredible comeback win. Let's fucking go. Finally, we see a great lead. Pidgeot instantly retreats and they bring in Trevenant. Trevenant is no Zapdos answer. Drill Peck almost one-shots Trevenant from full health. The opponent shields it up. I throw 2 more quick moves. Look to catch a Shadow Ball. The opponent shows great discipline. Not throwing their energy. They now are going to send the Shadow Ball. And I'm not shielding shit. Shadow Ball lands. The opponent then goes for a Seed Bomb. We're in the red, but Seed Bomb isn't going to be lethal. I can now under-tap the Icy Wind, which will be getting the second shield or the knockout. Let's see what the opponent does. The opponent lets it go. They come into Pidgeot. Wing attack us down. The switch timer is misaligned, so I'm going to wait out my full timer before sending back out Zapdos. The opponent now pivots out into Swampert. This is going to be somewhat tricky as Swampert does one-shot us from full health. I fire off the first Drill Peck. I'm going to throw the second Drill Peck. The opponent going to be forced to commit that final shield, which they do. I'm now going to send out Moltres. We've got 2 Protect Shields, 2 hide behind, so I can easily shield up both the Hydro Cannons. The opponent over farming, they get greedy. Moltres going to be returning Swampert to their Pokeball, and this is now game over. When Pidgeot does return, they're going to need to Brave Bird to take us out, and then we'd be able to Drill Peck them so the opponent concedes the match. Moving on to the next one. Nightmare lead, Walrein. Something we don't want to see whatsoever. I pivot into Articuno. Articuno has a really poor matchup here. The Ice Shards are double resisted. However, we have access to Ancient Power, and thankfully it did recently get buffed. Ancient Power lands for respectable damage. As Articuno is the bulkiest mon on the team, I'm definitely not shielding up this. We are going to be able to reach 1 more Ancient Power. I think it's an easy attempt at a bait, as the opponent looks like they do want to maintain alignment. I do full send the Ancient Power, as masturbating's bad every time you masturbate. A cat dies and I'm a keen animal lover. I've got 1 cat and 2 dogs. However, on a more serious note, Moltres with shield advantage isn't in a bad spot. I'm going to tank the first Icicle Sphere. I am going to shield the second. If the opponent stays in, I can then throw 5 wing attacks. Throw the Sky Attack on CMP. The opponent realises that. So they pivot out into Cresselia and I'm full YOLO in the Overheat. Overheat lands for huge damage. I then look to catch the charge move on Zapdos. It looks like we did catch, or the opponent threw the move anyway. We tanked the Moonblast, not particularly well. I'm then going to look to CMP tie to a potential Grass Knot. The opponent doesn't throw the Grass Knot. Drill Peck gets rid of the Cresselia and it's Trevenant in the back. I don't think I'm going to make back-to-back Drill Pecks, and this is going to be brutal. Drill Peck will be drawing the final Protect Shield. However, the opponent does Shadow Claw farm us all the way down. I come in 2 Moltres. I've got no choice but to shield this up. The opponent full sends the Shadow Ball, giving us a chance. They come in 2 Walrein. I was looking to get to the back-to-back charge moves. However, it looks like I'm going to run out of HP. I fire off the Sky Attack and we die as we reach the energy for the move. Heartbreaking loss, but pretty close considering that was a really tricky lead. Moving on to the next one. Zapdos into Virizion, the opponent safe switches into Charizard, and Charizard isn't really a Zapdos answer. I farm up to the Thunderbolt, and I actually masturbate myself, knowing the opponent has no choice but to shield. I'm calling the bait, and the opponent does bait me. This allows me to get to one more Drill Peck. Is the opponent willing to go down 2 shields? They are not. Drill Peck lands for big damage. I can now shield up this Dragon Claw, commit to the Thundershock farm down. We've got residual energy. Good to go. The opponent sends out Aurorus, and holy shit, we've seen another Aurorus. Can we beat it? Let's find out. I full send the Thunderbolt. The opponent lets it go, so I pivot out into Articuno. I am going to respect the Meteor Beam. The opponent full sends the beam. Articuno could take him out with an Ancient Power. However, we saw Icy Wind was lethal last time. I fire off the Icy Wind. Icy Wind doesn't knock out. The opponent now sends back out Virizion. Virizion not going to appreciate this Shadow Icy Wind. The opponent probably going to have to shield, as they don't know what we've got in the back. They're going to need to keep this healthy. The opponent does shield it up. They full send the Stone Edge. Stone Edge returns us to our Pokeball. I'm now going to wait out my full timer. And you already know, kids, stay in school, learn to count. It takes 5 double kicks to the Stone Edge. So I look to catch it on the low health Zapdos. This is now going to be game over. Stone Edge takes us out. I can now wing attack farm them all the way down when Aurorus does return. Despite them being on 1 HP and a dream, they can have a boom. GG's, and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle, see Charizard in the lead. Pretty good for Zapdos, as the wing attacks are resisted and we can one-shot them with a Thunderbolt. I fire off the Thunderbolt on CMP. The opponent shields it up, and my huge cojones are going to call a bait. Surely Charizard isn't going to blast burn. Well, surprise, I get absolutely wrecked. You hate to see it. I can now send in Moltres. The opponent goes straight for a Dragon Claw. We can tank this. Not particularly well, but we can tank it. I then look to CMP tie to the next Dragon Claw. Sky Attack definitely going to be lethal. It actually does huge damage to Charizard. To my surprise, the opponent commits that final shield. I'm pretty much running out of HP, so I am going to shield this up. I'm then going to overfarm, look to catch the next Dragon Claw on Articuno, banking the overheat for the end game. Dragon Claw not going to do too much to Articuno. The opponent lets me Ice Shard farm them all the way down. What does the opponent come into? They come in to Swampert. I fire off the Icy Wind as soon as possible, lowering their attack, so the Hydro Cannon is going to do less damage. The opponent overfarms to the back-to-back. I've got no intentions of shielding up the first Hydro Cannon. Hopefully the second one isn't lethal. It looks like it is lethal, so I'm in a tricky spot. I am going to have to shield this up. The opponent fires off the Hydro Cannon. They then pivot out into a Lowland Muck. How do I win this game? I'm scratching my head. I'm going to need to try and bank a charge move. For the end game, I farm up to 1 short of the Icy Wind to come into Moltres for that wham bam combo play, serving up the Big Mac and the fries. Overheat returns them to their Pokeball. They're 2 mud shots away. We're 1 quick move away. We get there 1 turn before they do, and that is all she wrote. We somehow pull off a victory there. And to be honest, I think I was a bit lucky. Luckily for us, Moltres did get farmed down in 3 mud shots, but it is what it is. Pretty fun showcase, if I do say so myself. Great energy management on my part. As I always say, stay in school, kids. Learn to count. You can see time and time again, I was maximising my energy, throwing on CMP almost every single time, which allowed me to get off multiple charge moves at the next Pokemon, and I was obviously farming up on Pokemon where I was resisting charge moves. When we saw the double kick users, I was always maximising energy, because double kick does absolutely nothing to a flyer. So if you're enjoying the content, drop me a like, as that video really gave me a headache. Counting every single quick move all the time isn't particularly fun. However, I did think it made a fun video, so if you agree, post it in the comment section down below. If you'd like your battles featured on my channel, a link to my battle submission form is down below. I'd like to say thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.